Hello students, welcome to Gangs of Toppers. Now in this session we are actually covering the topic what is precipitations. Okay, the process by which the product of condensation we have already studied what are the product of condensations we have actually, that is dew, frost, fog, mist, and the last one is the cloud. So these are the products of condensation. Okay, so the process by which the product of condensation, that is such as water droplets, ice crystals, sleet, etc., that is fall into the ground is known as precipitation. So you have to remember that after condensation of water, okay, after condensation of water, the release of moisture into the atmosphere is known as the release of the things that is into the atmosphere is known as precipitation. So you have to remember that the release of the release of the product of condensation into the atmosphere is known as precipitation. So once again we please go through the process by which a product of condensation, that is water vapor, water droplets, ice crystals, sleet, etc., fall to the ground is known as precipitation. Now rainfall, snowfall, drizzle, sleet, hail are the chief forms of precipitation. Now, what are the different form of precipitation? So we have a snowfall, drizzle, sleet, hail are the chief form of precipitation. Now, before this, we have to understand two things. Okay, listen. Means precipitation. We are talking about the precipitation. So precipitation generally happens. That is, if we talk about the temperature. Okay, so the state of precipitation means we are actually the precipitation has two state. Okay, the state means what? The state means first one is will be solid, and the second one will be liquid. Okay, and the in solid what is going to happen? What is going to come? That is hail. Second one is sleet, and the third one is that is a snow, and the last one is that is glaze. These are the what? These are the precipitations forms. And in liquid form, that is what is going to happen, that is it will come under, that is a drizzle. First one is drizzle and second one is about the rain. And this actually this drizzles and the rain, if we talk about the drizzle and rain, it is actually depending upon the size, depending upon the size of what? Size of the water molecules, size of the water molecules, or you can say that the release of the water molecules, that is the size of the release of the water molecules. We are actually dividing the liquid portion into two parts, that is drizzle and the rain. And if we talk about the snow, solid means if the temperature is below the 0 degree Celsius, then what is going to happen, that is the precipitations will have different characteristic, that is solid, hail, sleet, snow, and the glaze. Okay, so we are going through this topic, that is that rainfall, snowfall, drizzle, sleet, and hail are the chief forms of precipitation. Means we know, we have already studied this. There are what is forms of precipitations, forms of precipitations. We have forms of precipitations into two parts, that is solid part and the liquid part. Okay, in liquid part we comes under that drizzle and the rain, and it is actually depending upon the size of the water molecules. And if we talk about the solid part, that is it is a temperature, it is depending upon the temperature. If the temperature is just below the 0 degree Celsius, then we have hail, sleet, snow, and the glaze. Now precipitation takes place only when the tiny particles of the water joins together to form a large size particles, and which become too heavy to remain in suspended in the clouds. Now we here talking about that when the tiny water, that when the tiny particles of the water, means we are talking about that water vapor. We are talking about the water vapor, that is the tiny particles of water is going to form together to form a large size particles, and after becoming large particles, when it becomes too heavy to remain suspended in the cloud. Okay, now we will study different forms of precipitation one by one. First one is rain. What is rain? It is the most common form. Now if we talk, it is the most common form of precipitations. Okay, rain drops of a smaller size, and now if the rain drops is a smaller size and less intensity, then it is called a drizzle. So what is the difference between rain and drizzle? Means if the rain drops of a smaller size and the less density, then it comes under the drizzle part. And if the rain drops of it is of bigger size as compared to drizzle, then it comes under the rain part. Now we'll talk about the snow. When the droplets which rises higher and freezes. Now we're talking about it when this droplet is rises higher and freezes on the account of the drop in temperature. Now, if we are going to decrease the temperature, then what is going to happen? This water droplets is going to form ice, and the snowfall usually occurs in the winter in the cold climate or the on high mountains. So we're talking about this snowfall. Actually, the forms of precipitations is actually going to occur in winter in the cold climate or on a high mountains. Okay. Now after that we will talk about the hills. After that we are going to talk about the hills. Sometimes that is vertical air current. Vertical air current may push up water droplets or ice particles that is higher. Means if we are talking about that is condensation level. When the condensation level is very high, at this time that the temperature is going to decrease very low. So they form into solid ice. And form as hail and fall as hail, and hailstone cause great damage to the crops. So this is very dangerous for the crops. This is going to be a very dangerous for the crops. Okay. Now please go through this slide. What is precipitation? So, okay, already know that the precipitation is any form of liquid or the solid particle that fall from the atmosphere and reaches the surface of the air is called precipitation. So from here we can conclude that is the release of something into the atmosphere from the atmosphere that is and reaches the earth's surface, that is called precipitation. And precipitation directly the form of precipitation that is divided into two parts, that is rain and drizzle, that comes under water, that will come under the the state is liquid state, and this all the come under the solid state. Okay, so the kinds of precipitations we will see that is rain, after the snow, sleet and the hail. Okay, you can see that the winter precipitations. Okay, now this is a warm air, and this you can say that this is a cold air. So if the warm air, then in this condition, that is the product of condensation is going to release as a water, as a rain, and in this condition, that is the product condensation is going to release as freezing rain, and in this condition the product of condensation is going to release as sleet, and the last one as a snow. So one by one we are going to this point, that is what is rain, that is frozen particles or frozen precipitates is going to melt into water air and reaches the ground as rain. And in this condition, that is frozen precipitations melt into warm air and rain falls and freeze on cool surface. If the rain is going to fall here and it is again going to form cool. Okay, so remember that it's very interesting one, I think, this slide. This slide is very interesting. Okay, suppose this is the warm air. Okay, once again you go through the slide. This is the warm air. Is going to enter here, and already the product of condensation is already happened. So suppose if this warm air is going to enter this side, then what is going to happen? So that is a frozen precipitation. That is, here is a frozen precipitation. So in this condition, that is melts. The frozen precipitation is going to melt. Okay, in the warm air and reaches the ground as rain. Now suppose this warm air actually melts, this frozen precipitation is actually melted, and but below this there is a cold air, but there is a cool surface, so it is again going to form a melt, again it is going to freeze, again this rain falls and the freezes on the cold surface, means this surface is going to again cool. Now the frozen precipitation melt in slow. Now in this area, that is frozen precipitation is going to melt in slow and warm air, and it refreezes, means this area again refreezes into sleet before reaching the surface. And the last one is that it will fall, and the snow fall through cold air and reaches the ground as snow, means the snow falls, that is in this cooled area, and it is actually falling on the ground as a snow. Okay, this is a very interesting diagram. Okay, so how it is going to form, as how it is having a rain, how it is having a freeze, slow and a sleet and snow. Okay, now we'll go through that is what are the necessary conditions for the precipitations. Okay, we need a cooling of air, means if the air is going to cool, then condensation and the cloud formation occurs, and means when the cloud formation is going to then accumulate, it is actually an accumulation of moisture. Means what is cloud? It is an accumulation of moisture, and if the growth of cloud droplets means what? If it become going to big, and after that it is actually going to drop. So water droplets, it is saying that the water droplets and ice crystals of the cloud. It is saying that the water droplets in the ice crystal of clouds need to be transferred into heavier particles. Okay, it is saying that the water droplets in the ice crystals need to be transferred into heavier particles if they are to fall out of the cloud as precipitations. Okay, and water droplets in the ice crystals are only fall on the surface if they grow sufficiently large size and that can overcome the updraft, that can overcome the updraft. Now, what is the size of the drizzle? Drizzle is about, that is 0.2 mm, and about the light rain 0.5 mm, and about the small rain it is about 1 mm, and about the rain it is about 5 mm, and about the rainstorm it will be about 7 mm. Okay. Now, after that, we are going to study one by one, that is the type of rainfall. Okay. Deposition of moisture, that is from the atmosphere on the earth's surface, is called, already studied, that is the deposition of moisture that is from the atmosphere and that is on the earth's surface is called precipitation. Okay. This point already discussed, and after that, one form of precipitation is the rainfall, and remaining we have already gone through that, that is the snow and sleet and all. Now, the three types of cooling of the air, that is now we will study, that is there are three types of coolings of air produce three different type of rainfall, and that first one is conventional rainfall, second one is orographic rainfall, and the third one is cyclonic rainfall. Okay, so one by one we are going through this topic. Relief, that is relief rainfall. What is relief rainfall? Relief rainfall is also called as a orographic rainfall. Very important. Relief rainfall is also known as a orographic rainfall. It occurs from the cooling of warm, moist air which ascends above the mountain barrier. Means we are talking about that. We are talking about this. It is talking, that is moist warm air is going to ascend, that is on the windward side of mountain, on the windward side of mountain. Okay, and that is lying direction of the prevailing wind. So it is talking, that is around the taking along the direction of prevailing wind, and the presence of mountain. Now there is present, already there is a presence of mountain, that is we are talking about the leeward side, uh, windward side of the mountain, means cause humid air to rise. Now due to the presence of mountains, this makes the air to rise, that is above the mountain. Okay, and the sudden, it's now due to sudden going up. So now actually the air is going like this, moisture air. Now due to presence of this mountain, this sudden rise of, or due to, we can say that is the sudden ascent of air, that it causes the cooling of air. Now are you understanding or not? This is the mountain and the air is going like this. Now air, actually due to this barrier, now air is going up. That means this sudden cause, or this sudden cause of ascent are going up along the mountain, causes cooling of air leading to condensation and precipitation. Means, so it is going to again inform the temperature is going to decrease and it will condense and precipitate. Since it is caused by the relief vapor. Now we have already, it is caused by this mountain relief of the land, so it is called as the relief rain. Now on descending the leeward side, now this is actually the windward side, this area is called windward side and this area is called leeward side. So on descending the leeward side, now after releasing the moisture into the atmosphere, the air is going again this side. Okay, so it is saying that this air does not contain any moisture, so it is actually having warm air. It is actually a parcel of air and it will go this side, but this parcel of air will have some pressure due to atmosphere, and again the temperature is going to increase. Why? Because all the moisture is going to decrease here, releases here, and so it is actually due to increase in temperature and pressure, this air parcel become dry. This air parcel is going to become dry. So it is saying that on the leeward slope, a decrease in the altitude decrease. So a decrease in altitude means this air parcel is going to come this side. So due to decrease in altitude, due to decrease in the height of the air particle, the pressure, that is due to the atmosphere, due to increase in pressure of the atmosphere, and also temperature is going to increase and leading the air to get compressed, and the leading of means we are going to actually this parcel of air is going to compressed. Okay, due to increase in temperature and pressure, and it becomes warm, and consequently the relative humidity drops. So consequently what is going to happen? So the RH value is going to decrease and there is evaporation. So and little evaporation, little or no precipitation in the rain shadow areas. Means, so due to RH is going to decrease, means no condensation, no dew point is going to achieve, so no rain. The best example you can say that the monsoon, that is wind, while ascending, that is around the along the western Ghat, cause heavy rainfall on the windward side. So if we talk about the monsoon rain, that is on the windward side of the western Ghat, there we get heavy rainfall. But in the northeastern, at the same time, northeastern Himalayas, that is Himalayan barriers makes the wind to set their moisture on the windward side of the slope that is facing the south. Okay. Now after that we'll study that there is a heavy rainfall. So if heavy rainfalls, that is comes under the categories when it is above 200 centimeter, and we will talk about the moderate rainfall. If the rainfall is between 100 to 200 centimeter, it comes under the moderate rainfall. And if we talk about the low rainfall, if in this case, if the rainfall is less than 25 centimeter, okay. Now, one more thing you have to remember, that this orographic rainfall is especially heavy in hot and humid areas bounded by the tropical areas. I think this was the condition. This was the condition. Okay, if we talk about the monsoon, so this is the Western Ghat. This is the Western Ghat. So in this area, there is in the rain that is on the windward side, we will get heavy rainfall, but on the leeward side, we does not get any rainfall. And in this is a mountain area, and in this area we will get more rainfall, because why? Because this will act as a barrier. So on the windward side, or you can say on the south of this area, we get more rainfall. After that, we are going to study about the conventional rainfall. After that, we are going to study about the conventional rainfall. There is a conventional rainfall in the equatorial region. So it is generally happen in the equatorial region. So you have to remember that this conventional rainfall is going to happen in the equatorial region. The high temperature lead to rapid heating of air. Now, what is going to happen in the equatorial region? There is going to increase the temperature is high. Why? Because the sun's ray, or you can say the sunlight is throughout the air. Sun's light is throughout the air. So in this case, the temperature is high, leads to rapid heating of air, and such heated air rises in the conventional current. Means we are talking about that. You look this diagram. Actually, the first point is that the sun rises highly in the midday. And the sun is going to hit the ground. In this case, the air that is next to the ground is heated up, and that is water evaporates from the ground and the trees. The water is going to evaporate from the ground and also from the tree, and from the ground it is water is going to convert into water vapor by the process of evaporation, and from the tree it is going to form the transpiration. Water is absorbed, and the warm air rises up, and again air cools and condensation occurs. White and the cumulus cloud, we have already studied about the cumulus cloud. Means it is looking like cauliflower, and after that cumulonimbus means it becomes a very dense. A storm cloud is going to form, and heavy rain is going to occur. Okay, so this is actually a conventional precipitations. Okay, so we can go through this point, that is conventional precipitation results from heating of the earth surface, and the warm, that is ground heat, that is the air over it, and it warms the ground heat air over it. As the air warms, the air molecules begins to move further apart. Means the air becomes going to warm, the air molecule is going to move up, and with increased distance between the molecules are less densely packed. Means we can say that in the warm air, the molecules are densely packed, the molecules are less densely packed. Thus the air becomes lighter and rises rapidly into the atmosphere. And as the air rises, it cools, and water vapor in the air that condenses into formed cloud and precipitations occur. So this is actually generally happens, you can say, in the equatorial region. Okay. After that, our next topic is, that is you can say that is, and this type of rainfall that is occurs in the afternoon. We can say that this type of rainfall, that is a conventional rainfall, generally occurs in the afternoon, that is after 4 o'clock. So this is also known as a 4 o'clock shower. This is also known as 4 o'clock shower. And such rainfall is accompanied by the thunder and lightning. So this type of rainfall is accompanied by the thunder and lightning, and the conventional rainfall occurs daily in the equatorial region, and they receives an annual rainfall of more than 200 centimeters. So it comes under the heavy rainfall. Heavy rainfall. Last one is about that. This is about the cyclonic precipitations, or you can say the frontal precipitations. Okay, so please go through this diagram. We have already studied. This is a frontal. We are talking about the frontal precipitations. Means what? When the leading edge of the warm and the moist air mass, that is melt, meets a cooled air mass. Means you are talking about this is a cold air mass, and this is actually warm air mass. Okay, so when they are actually coming in contact with each other, then what is going to be? Means if this cool air is going to active more, means we are talking about this, if cool air is active, then what is going to form? It will have a steep slope. You can see here. So it is going to form a steep slope. But if the warm air is active, in this case, it will have a gentle slope. You have to remember one point, that if the cool air is active, means if cool air having more force, then what is going to happen? This cool air will have a steep slope. But if the warm air is more active, then it will have a gentle slope. So you can say that in this case, that is we water is precipitated to form that is cumulus nimbus. Water is actually going to condense and form that is cumulus cloud. But in this case, water is going to form a stratus cloud. And the area that is in this case, that is when the cool air is more active, the area will be less. And in this area, that is heavy rainfall occurs. But in this case, we are covering more areas and the moderate the light showers occur. So we will study this point. Okay. Now, the molecules in the that is the molecules in the cool air are more tightly packed. As we know that the cool air, the molecules in the cool air is more tightly packed, or you can say that it is more dense. The cool air is heavier than the warm air. Yes, it's obvious that is cool air is more heavier than the warm air. The warmer air that is forced up, warmer air is going to forced up over the cool. Now this warmer air is going to forced up over the cool air. As it rises, the warm air cools. As it rises, the warm air is going to cool, and water vapor is in the air is going to condense. Okay, and the cloud and precipitation results occur. Okay. So we will study this point, that is this type of rainfall is due to cyclones at the tropical latitude and the depressions that is temperate latitude or in the mid latitude. It's irrespective of the reliefs and the convection. It is caused by the convergence, mean the convergence of the meeting of two different air masses, that is cold mass and the warm air mass. Okay, with different temperature and other physical properties. Means in this case actually two different air mass, means we have a cold air mass and the warm air mass with a different temperature. Okay, and other physical properties. When the warm air and the cool air, it is talking that when the warm air and the cool air, what is saying that when the warm air and the cool air masses confront, means meet each other, the warm air that is lighter up and generally warm air that is lighter generally climbs up, generally is going to up than the cool air, and the boundary zone of these air mass is called fronts. The boundary zone means the meeting zone between these points is called fronts, and the rising air is cooled. We have already warm air is going to cool, and while undergoing a frontal, while going up means while going up frontal, it means going up, and this causes precipitations, and such precipitations rainfall is caused by the cyclonic and the frontal rainfall, and it is heavy in the tropical, it is heavy in the tropical areas, and it lasts for only a few hours. Means if we in this cyclonic rainfall occurs, then it will have heavy rainfall in the tropical areas, and it lasts only for a few hours. But if you are talking about the temperate depressions such as those of the Western Europe, the rainfall is much lighter, and though it lasts for several days, though it lasts going to happen for several days, and there it falls in the form of continuous drizzle, and there it is going to form, or it is going to release water in the form of drizzle. Okay, thank you दोस्तों.